Namaste. We just noticed we've had 2 more subscribers on this channel, so we're very grateful and appreciative of that. Yeah, I think we need to off the top. The Fear book, Facing Fear Once and for All, by Cheri, author of the Depression book, designed and illustrated by Shiver, or Shiver. Spirituality Self-Help. American Zen teacher has reminded us, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. We read that book and absolutely loved it. Another one on the list. American Zen teacher Cheri Huber writes, "It is possible to find within ourselves a way of experiencing life that was ours before we were taught to be afraid, before we were convinced that life is big and scary and overwhelming. When the world was a place of awe and wonder, when we had boundless energy, because there was nothing keeping us from simply being present in the moment. Fear is not what we think it is. When we bring consciousness, compassionate awareness to our explorations, we find that all that separates us from ourselves and the life we want is illusion. Cheri Huber has been a teacher and student of Zen for over 20 years. She teaches at the Zen Monastery Practice Center in Murphy's, California, and at a center for the practice of Zen Buddhist meditation in Mountain View, California. She travels throughout the US and beyond, holding workshops and retreats based on the information in this and her other books. I don't know if you saw the thumbnail, but if you do have a look at the thumbnail now, all the pictures we choose are pictures that speak to our heart. And that one reminds us of when we're in the psych ward. And we spent a lot of time at the window with our hands on it, just wanting to get outside. I think sometimes it was just like, get us out of here, let us out. That's in the physical reality. In the internal world reality, because we don't really have pictures, but it spoke to us. And I suppose it was that we finally feel the veils of fog lifting from the denials and the illusion, which will still take a while to integrate down into physical. But coming out of the fog, and just coming out of the fog, coming out of the darkness. But we don't like that thing, because we like the darkness. We like night, we like the stars. But that makes us aware of our unique special interpretations of language, and how it varies quite a lot from the general understanding. Hence a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. But yeah, I think it speaks to us on a lot of levels. But again, we've been watching a lot of stuff today and resting. Oh, I don't know, we seem to just do so much. But as usual, and it's getting so much stronger, which is great because it means we don't need this validation anymore. We've been doing for ages all that we're meant to do, cleansing our space with the herbs and always doing the best we can in each moment, whether it's our internal cleanliness, the external body cleanliness, the cleanliness of the house and the garden. the sound, the herbs, the essential oils. Yeah, so I suppose that's a sign to us that our younger ultra consciousness is starting to grow up, which is fab. And that the ones that are very speedy are starting to slow down. And so that balancing point, the triangle in the middle of the seesaw, the pivot, is starting to function again slowly on the at least 6 minimum seesaws that there are, equaling the 12, the complex stability, the masculine, the emperor, physical 3D dimension energies. So it's all fab news. We just got to keep going and keep riding the waves until we're finally able to rest and embrace that Four Swords and what's just come to me then. I'm sure we didn't get it before the side chord. I'm sure it must have been after the side chord. But for some reason it feels like it might have been before the side chord. But I suppose when we start backtracking over our steps again, and so another thing's just come to us. Mercury. Y-R-U-C-R-E-M. Y-R-U-C-R-E-M. Irukem. Mercury goes retrograde in Aquarius. I think we were meant to Google that, but we must have switched before we Googled it because we didn't Google it, or if we did, I don't remember. But I think we're getting better at remembering, so I'm going to believe that we didn't Google it. Yeah, it goes retrograde. And when planets go retrograde, it's a time when you backtrack over stuff. So that'll be after we finish the rebirth course for Blue House Energy that we start tomorrow, along with the 7-day YouTube challenge course, which starts tomorrow as well. Which is free. It's just under £2 worth, so we thank the universe for that coming along at the right time. I'm not still fully sure what it involves, but we're not looking into that too much at the moment because we don't want to overload ourselves or overwhelm ourselves unnecessarily. Today's Capricorn plus Aries energies, which is quite a dynamic of energies that's challenging. But the sun moves into Aquarius tomorrow because it was a leap year last year, so that changes the cycles and the patterns. Otherwise, we're moving on the 18th of January, I think. We learned earlier on something. Capricorn energies and Aries energies also relates quite strongly to people that we know. So there's always a combination of different things that make things more challenging. But we've been very gentle and compassionate with ourselves, but we've also gently nudged ourselves to do stuff. We went deeply into the low functioning autistic one earlier, which always frightens us. But we went outside like this pretty much and moved the big upside down wheel bin and created some space in our view in the garden because it wasn't pleasing to the alignment of our vision. It's very autistic comment, I think. It quite a struggle, but we did it. And that helps shift the energy in the body. But you see, it's about shifting the energy in the body in each altar, because each altar has a different network of the body. And I think when we go into lockdown in ourselves, when we go into the autistic one, so it was really good for us to get up and not care what anyone thinks if we saw anyone. I think we did see someone actually towards the end. No, I think that might be when we were sitting in the chair. I don't know. And then it was after, and then we sat back down in the chair again, and we listened to the pre-audio thing, creating from chaos. That's produced at rebirth before we start tomorrow. So that was really good. It pretty much relates what we've been doing since the cycle last year with our YouTube channels. think we've done quite well with the YouTube channels, doing most of it on the Facebook. The younger ones do it on a personal page. The collaborative of us does it on our Shinto Self-Empowerment Facebook page. We started, goodness knows when, we started the New Awareness Community Group and the Shinto Facebook page, but we came back to that again. We scrolled down for it actually yesterday, and there was a picture of us before the site board when we had the dreads. We didn't watch all of it, we weren't able to, it was a bit troublesome. But we're learning that the more we look back and look at things, that actually we haven't been that bad or anything. We've always had that true centre core of doing what's right for everyone to the best of our ability at the time. It's just uncomfortable, isn't it, when we watch ourselves back on stuff, because it opens our eyes more to stuff about ourselves. And then we couldn't make the phone calls. We were in no fit state to make the phone calls and talk to other people, especially even though we know it's going to be fine. I don't know, it doesn't weigh up like that. It's never weighed up like that. We've always known that we couldn't connect our head and our heart. We've been attempting it for years, but it's starting to happen now. But we did get a couple of responsible things done. A couple of emails done to Cheri about a broken essential oil that we got, and a book that we got instead of another book. So when we come to do our 108 challenges next time, they're not going to be quite so chaotic and over all of the channels. It will just be on one channel. And so we started reading, and we believe everything happens for a reason, but we started reading. We've read before The Alchemist, and we wanted to read that again, but we, on this 108-day challenge, we're reading The Pilgrimage. I think because of the emotional attachment, traumas, baggage, whatever the words are, related to a lot of stuff in that book and people that we know. So yeah, there's a selection. It's they're all in the chakra colours, which is great. Except there wasn't indigo. So I wonder if he's done it on purpose. Because the book that was meant to come that we didn't receive from him, we received another one instead, a random one. But we did find the receipt. It took us a while to figure it all out. And it says that the book on here. So this is one we already had, along with the along with the pilgrimage. Manuscript found in Accra. So that's like the red one. And then the orange one, the one we read before. I don't think it's these colours though, because we bought these when we were younger. Like I'm sure we bought these in our late teens, and it was a selection of probably a selection of 7 of them actually, if they are the chakras. I don't know if we've read them all. But I think we might have done because they're small. So it wouldn't have been too intimidating with us. We used to get very intimidated by books that are large. And it's kind of small. So I'd say it's medium-sized writing on the pages, and they're not too bad because it's got wide margins. But The Alchemist, the orange, we got a selection of the Celestine Prophecies ones as well. Celestine Prophecies, 10th Insight, Practicing the 10th Insight, 11th, 12th, I think the 13th as well. Yellow, By the River, Piedra Sat Down and Wept. They're all really good titles. The Devil and Miss Prim, green. Veronica Decides to Die, blue. Oh no, so I don't know, because the pilgrimage is kind of blue, so that would have been indigo, which doesn't make sense then, because the other book that's coming, I think, is the dark colour than that. I don't know, because I've not got it yet. And these two ones look different in the picture. But we've got 11 minutes, which 11 is the new numerological number of a new name, and the new name's Zanoni. Zanoni's the child of the stars, and Snowflake's our Native American Indian name. So you've got the shamanic foundations, grounding, Mother Gaia, but also snow comes from the sky, comes down, but the stars up above it. I didn't realise there's that much symbolism in it, but it's the Zahir, a novel about obsession, which well, people with autism can be quite obsessive about a lot of things, and although we've balanced a lot of this stuff out because each altar has different things, so we swap between them, so it fools us in a lot of things. And we said about 11 minutes. So that's the selection of Paulo Coelho. Yeah, and the one that didn't come, we got the flamenco feather. So again, the words seem very symbolic to us for some reason. We love tribes. Yeah, we love tribes too, don't we? We did read the back by the author of Venture to the Interior and the Lost World of the Kalahari. So it's like interior, it's kind of like interior world reality, isn't it? The Lost World of the Kalahari. I don't know, that speaks to us for some reason. A magnificent story of mystery and action in the Africa, which is slipping into the past. So, yeah, the writing, that's got narrow margins and the writing smaller. But it'll be interesting to read that book. But that came instead of the one Rich or Portobello. So we'll read that book last, I'm guessing, because that will be very symbolic. We'll be last or first. So yeah, we got out our farm. We've got our oils out earlier as well, and some of our infused oil that we did with dried lemon and or orange or grapefruit. I'm not sure which. I think it's all lemon. It could be orange. But lemon is good for people with EDS. But we got out the fragrant pharmacy, and we're looking at that earlier, and fragrant mind. And as usual, one of the other authors had cornered a couple of pages. So there's rejection on that side, goes from regret to rejection. But we don't suffer regret. We probably do suffer regret a bit, but not really, because our saying has always been regret, don't have regrets. If you are going to have regrets, regret what you've done, not what you've not done. But it's repression, and repression's really symbolic. Found it hard to read the words and make the connections, but there's a pile of essential oils that didn't fit in our pouch of essential oils, so we've got to sort them out. So we kind of looked at the colours on them and saw what words matched in here to what words matched on them, and then chose the words, put them to a side, and then chose the colours that we liked. And then on the other side it says schizophrenia, but I don't think we've got schizophrenia at all. But we did look at the oils related to that, and it had lemon in it, which is good for EDS, and lavender and chamomile roman, and geranium, which is like good for women and stuff. And we did come on yesterday. And then it's got South Blame. So it doesn't always necessarily go to the words to say that you've got schizophrenia, but it's good to see the overlappings of oils that's in these different things, because I don't think there is I don't feel or believe from the experiences we've had and the knowledge that we've gained that there's such a separation to the way we do things at the moment. If you look at the mental health book in the NHS, it's just like, it's obscenely ridiculous to how many disorders and titles of different mental health stuff there is, and it's just growing, which just for us is a reflection of the growing of the parts and the separation and the masculine energy dominance of society. And it hurts us. It makes us feel sad for the way the system's going. But it doesn't draw us into the fear. It's never drawn us into the fear that I've been aware of. But on the deeper level, there's something going on related around fear, but there isn't, because we've always faced fear, and we know we're a good survivor. And we knew that we've been saying for years that, like, stuff's going to go, we said, stuff's going to go to pot. and it's going to be like it's going to be like a detox, and shit's going to hit the fan, and there's going to be chaos, and a lot of people are going to be terrified and scared. But you see, for systems to crumble, or for new systems to be rebuilt, systems have to crumble. So there's all these sayings that we've had our whole life that just are becoming so clear to why we've had them. We're not all still able to grasp it and accept it yet, but that's because our physical body, our brain, isn't healed enough, isn't expanded enough from the stunted growth of it with the trauma. So there's so much science and maths. And we are art too, but we shut the art down because that got shut down by so many different people from us when we were younger, from teachers, from family, just from actions and words, different things. Nothing intentional or really nasty. Well, I suppose having a teacher rip up one of your paintings is pretty nasty. And I don't think we remember this, but the stories are that, one time we lost it when we were really young, and we locked ourselves in the paint cupboard at junior school and just had a hissy fit. And if anyone tried to come in, we threw paint pellets and paint pots at them. We were an incredibly angry child. I think the anger stopped roughly when we were about 15. Apart from a couple of incidents later on in life when we've been intoxicated and it's come out. When we threw a chair at a babysitter because he wouldn't let us stay up late. But we had to be. We had to defend ourselves from a 3.5-year-old brother that we used to go fight something chronic with each other. I was tied up with his rock climbing rope for it would be quite a regular occurrence, but one time it was a good few hours while our father was out on a Sunday walk. Siblings fight something chronic, especially when it comes from a dysfunctional family. But considering what we've both been through, we're actually a surprisingly functional family, and both two beautiful children that care very deeply for others, to the consequences of our own deep internal suffering. He's a Libra. But I still believe it's better for one to internally suffer and cause self-harm than cause harm on someone else or something else. And again, there's that belief system that I've come across a lot of others not understanding why others self-harm. They self-harm because they don't want to hurt someone else. I think that's a very strong, compassionate thing, and it's not a conscious thing. Maybe it is, I don't know, but my general belief and understanding and experiences and what we've just said is that it's not a conscious thing. It's just a compassionate, loving, instinctual thing. It's the heart being closed off in a different way. I don't know, maybe it's closed off from the inside out rather than the outside in, or something like that. It surprised me. Upside down, back to front, left to right, inside out, outside in. Round and round and round. Spiral till you get to the centre of the onion. Why do they make us cry? On loan, we started doing this, obviously. Doesn't look like I'm writing it. I think we used to get really upset about lending books out to people and then forgetting to give it back. And of course, we would never remember who we lent them out to. On loan from the lovely Neve, with love, light, and gratitude in the heart. On the earth, as the Irish say. For those who have faced the fear of time, Saturn time, ground these energies into the physical, please. For those who have faced the fear, and for those who will. Special, we like this book, you see, it's really easy. Oh, we're still really sore. That's all good. It's shifting. Special thanks to Monique and Brian, all those in workshops and retreats who willingly explore the process of fear with me. Jean at Shiver or Shiver for turning all this material into a book once again. What fear is. We used to do a lot of bubble writing when we were younger. I think that's what it's called. No contents page. Yep, looks like we're actually going to have to read it a bit. Is that okay? After B. Cool. In the process presented here for dealing with fear, fear is the hunted, not the hunter. Fear is the quarry you must stalk and confront and unmask. To reveal to yourself, we're on the wrong page. We were meant to do this on Shinto. Or maybe it was our logical mind that thought this and really this is the one we're meant to be on. Yeah. Is that okay? We can always do it on both down the line. We can download it and upload it onto the other one. We'll do a fresh one down the line, okay? Yeah. Well done. Thank you. Fear is the quarry you must stalk and confront and unmask. To reveal to yourself that all that separates you from yourself is an illusion. Fear is not what you think it is. Fear is not who you are underneath your facade. Fear is not the real you that you must somehow fix or improve or overcome. Fear is a very useful signal along the path to freedom. The stronger the fear, the closer you are to what you are seeking. If you want to stay safe, i.e., stuck where you are, fear tells you to stop what you are doing. But if you want to be free, fear lets you know you are on the right track. It is a signal to push ahead in the same direction, to pick up the pace. We've been going pretty speedy, Gonzalez, so we must have been pretty messy scared then. Which means we must be getting pretty close to wherever it is we're getting to. Avoidance of life, overeating, student. I've been thinking that I'm not really a fearful person. Fear just isn't that much of an issue in my life. And I don't see a connection between fear and my concern about what is a serious issue for me. Overeating. Guys, you could go somewhere where the eating would be taken out of your hands, and you could see a lot of things about it. Student. Well, that's one thing that keeps me from going on retreat. I can't choose when and what I'm going to eat. Guide. This is fear. Some of the things we may not think of as fear: anger, sadness, irritation, urgency, depression, control issues, are pointing to underlying fear, dear one. So if you hear yourself say you don't like not getting to decide what and when you eat, look underneath that and see if there is some panic about not being in charge. Resistance is one of the processes that masks fear. I don't enjoy swimming, dancing, parties, cities, camping, group discussions, travelling. I'm not interested. It's not my kind of thing. I've done that already and don't need to prove anything by doing it again. Oh, I would love to, but I tried and I just can't. I'm taking care of myself by staying away from this thing I know I'm not ready for. Hang. I'm not afraid, I just don't want to. It's dangerous. It's silly. It's boring. Every time we choose safety, we reinforce fear. When we try to avoid the discomfort that we call fear, our world grows smaller and smaller and smaller. We used to draw a little man with his eyes poking over the wall and his hands coming over the wall too. One step ahead of him. And the first folder we got, the scarf, she got no mouth. We find ways to avoid people, activities, circumstances, experiences that might cause us to have the reaction we fear. That's why we used to have to smoke weed, get drunk, because we never knew we were anxious. As we get older, we become afraid of more and more and more and more and more. We close down. We close off. Our lives shrink. When we attempt something new and find ourselves feeling really uncomfortable, we believe the discomfort means that something is wrong. So we try to get out of the situation. As time goes on, we learn to get out sooner and sooner and sooner and sooner and sooner. Really sharp pain down the inside leg just above the knee. So that meridian's waking up, which is fab because I reckon that goes down to the big toe all the way up to the scar. Until we move directly to avoidance, even before we consider doing something that might be scary. Can you list things you used to enjoy but no longer do because they are too scary? Driving on freeways, making new friends, taking risks. We may not do stuff like we used to do stuff, but we are facing our biggest fear by doing all of this and being seen and heard. We've always been on the right path for us. There's been a lot of them to juggle all at once. The beauty of a multi-dimensional thinking brain, the beauty of being different, the beauty of being autistic, the beauty of having EDF, fibro, POTS, autism, processing language disorder. We're different and we're proud of it. We're unique, not a freak. We've got that tattooed on us too. Spelled in English, but in the Japanese alphabet. So it can be wrong, because the first tattoo we got, we thought was the Chinese symbol for woman on our foot, but it's actually the Japanese symbol for powerful. So we're actually pretty lucky. That's a good one, but it still showed us the possibility of things being wrong that you get off the wall. However, there are things like falling in love that we do precisely because they leave us sweaty of palm, short of breath, and weak of knee. A lot of advertising promises that some breathless thrill go there. A lot of advertising promises that some breathless thrill go there, buy this, wear this, and then you'll feel that way. Whiter teeth, brighter life, bright and shiny toothpaste. Even when we pursue those desirable feelings, our world still shrinks. Whether we are avoiding all that could produce the dreaded discomfort we call fear, or pursuing all that could produce the desirable feeling we call excitement. I could never really handle either. I always got sick, felt really sick and dizzy if we got excited too much. And it's a different type of fear to putting yourself in challenging, fearful situations to then unexpectedly, out of control, be put in it. That's different. And again, what's coming to us now, clarity, is what the psych ward did. We are removed from the present moment by the belief that our lives, ourselves, will be the way they should be only in some other time and place, some other alternative to what is here and now. And as we say, in your own time, in your own space, in your own place, at your own pace, from the comfort of your own home, from the comfort of your own house, couch. I don't know, it's more like that. And more clarity that's popping in. It's the belief systems. There's only the belief systems about the mental health and the psych ward and stuff that came from a young age, of things being kept a secret, attempted suicide being kept a secret, so many other things being kept a secret. Secrets damage, especially when you're the secret. You don't know when to open your mouth or when to say what. And you're also told not to be seen or heard. And movement and voice and sound. Movement and sound are two of the fundamental principles of releasing trauma from the body before it manifests into the physical and then causes dis-ease, a syndrome, a disorder. The relentless pursuit of happiness is one definition of suffering. The single-minded avoidance of pain. The single-minded avoidance of pain is another. It's just reminded us of a lovely lady that used to go to the yoga class. We used to go to a swimming pool gym. I knew a woman who was convinced that her happiness consisted in marrying a wealthy man. Nothing in life interested her except wealthy men, and her world became small and exceedingly unhappy. Our world shrinks when we are paralyzed by fear of making mistakes, fear of doing something wrong. But if we simply take a step and see what happens, and us then is telling people how we feel, that's one of my biggest fears. We couldn't tell people how we feel because we didn't know. And we used to go into the freeze, the paralyzed state of the fight, freeze. I suppose for the deep thing of not being abandoned from issues of our mum. Which is why we've had to do everything that we've had to do. Because we've always known that you can't have a friendship or friendship with someone that you've been out with straight away after splitting up from a romantic relationship. One needs time apart. And then to re-establish a new relationship in a new relationship form of a healthy friendship rather than another. That's an example. So it's that same principle. But if we simply take a step and see what happens, our world opens a little bit. Then we can take another step. Every step enlarges our view. Everything we do shows us something. And that's why we had to have all the experiences that we've had when we were travelling. So that we've actually got a relative memory in the body to go back to. As the old Zen master says, as the old Zen masters say, when we are willing to pay attention, everything enlightens us. And then we get lighter and don't feel so heavy and weighed down. And then you become Jesus with milk and water. You're really looking forward to sharing that story, aren't you? A friend used to say to me, I'm afraid I'm not going to get a job. I'm afraid of being alone. I'm afraid I'll run out of money. The list went on and on. I would try to help her address each fear until I realised that we were dealing with problems that did not exist. The constant was, I'm afraid, which could be followed by an endless series of purely imaginary difficulties. And that's bringing up to us that one of the things is that if you're the common denominator between all the people, then you're the problem, which again is the self-blame. And we may be the common denominator between all the people, but we're not the problem. And it's not that they're the problem. Maybe nothing's the problem. Maybe it's just the collective conscious societal views that we have that's the problem. But the way that gets, and that is a stem of the evolution of consciousness and the past of where humanity's come from to where it is now. Hence the big shifts that are happening all around us externally. And hence the big shift that's happening internally in me and this post-body of all of us that's been there our whole life and that we started a long time ago, over 4 years, because that's the number. Because we had a lot to get through. And we've been planning for it and prepping for it for our whole life, haven't we? To get to where we are now, to serve our purpose in life of why we came here. Only when we focus, which is this. Being strong and courageous and have other abilities. And being different. And being unique and not a freak. And showing that this path can be trod alone. And not to be scared that it feels like there's been a forced lockdown upon you into your houses. Because it's what you make of the situation and what angle and perspective you choose to look at it from. And we've always been an inspiration to others. So this is what we're continuing to do. It's hard work finding and using your voice. And then applying all the stuff that we read out, which we've been doing for years as well. To be gentle and patient and compassionate with yourselves. To know that you're okay and that you're going to be okay. And to be as present as possible, because that releases the anxiety of the future and the comparison of the past that causes the worry. And that enables us to attempt to see things from a child perspective, which is hard. And yes, I should have the honour of the experiences that we've had to actually have stunted brain growth and actually physically experience it. Only when we focused on the process rather than the content could we begin to address what was really going on. We could talk for hours, days, lifetimes about what is wrong, what could happen, what won't work. Don't do it. Instead, take a step. And we'd like to add to that, take a step back. Take a step down to Mother Earth and ground yourself. Take a step back to reflection, not comparison, on the past, to see what didn't work and why it didn't work and how you can find a solution to that, to do it differently and change the pattern next time. Like they say in Urban Shaman, that's that book that we're reading tonight. Instead, take a step. Look around. See where you are. We learned all this from this, didn't we? And see what your next step will be. Take that step. See where you are. And the next step becomes clear. It might not be that many, it might be less, it might be more. Your journey is unique and individual to you. Maybe it's back to where you started. You cannot know until you get there, wherever there is. Each step is clear only from where you are at the moment. The final step is not apparent at the beginning, only from the step immediately before it. Each step is part of a learning process. And since no matter what you do, you will learn something. There is no way to make a mistake. That's always been one of our failures, our teachers as well. There is simply no reason to be afraid. Sitting around, thinking about what won't work. It's like a scientist deciding the result of an experiment beforehand. Not a way to learn anything. And just what I remember, we learn so much stuff about adverts. There's a lot of good adverts on YouTube. Better than TV adverts, that's for sure. It's the guy off Mind Valley. He's the one that taught us that you get energy just from a book without even having to read it. And he then also taught us that, he said about they give information on adverts, and these adverts that go quite into depth, you see. And that's all we need, because it brings our awareness somewhere. That's what it's been like for us the whole life. I mean, we didn't learn how to do hypno-learning or hypno-healing. We just when we went to do our self-hypnosis with the hypnotherapy, we did learn a lot of good stuff from him. He said about it all. And that's, we've got such a beautiful mind in some aspects that that's all we need. That comes from being the best survivor, going the jack of all trades, master of none. It's our processing language disorder. The guy said at the time, if he wanted anyone to do anything, he would choose our brain, because you just need to put us in a situation, and we watch and we observe and we learn, and just do that for a few days. It's kinesis learning, movement learning, and then we can do it. And I suppose our van's proof of that and stuff as well, because if that's the type of van that we produce on a first attempt, boy, is our 7-tonner going to be good when we get it. God, we've got a lot of dreams, haven't we? So in this Mind Valley guy that he talks about is, if it is the same guy, I think it's Mind Valley, but there's a couple of two different guys. One of them's the one I've held in the book, and the other one talks about memory and speed reading, and about how we need to get away from our traditional Western upbringing of academic education, which is like regurgitation of memory, and actually learn our own unique style of learning to be able to then teach ourselves and learn how we learn, which I suppose is quite a challenging thing to do. But we come from a teaching background, and we started our teaching degree as well, and then that brings us into the person that we know that's the author of that book, On the Edge, which is about teaching. So yeah, we're just a mind valley of information that we're now learning how to access as we learn the power of the subconscious mind and become co-conscious with that journey of evolution. Sanskrit philosophy of evolution, the internal journey to the depths of our subconscious psyche. If we really want to know how something is or what is possible, we plunge ahead. We might not find what we thought we would find, more than likely not, but we will find something. Life is a creative process, and creativity has to have that wholehearted abandon of plunging ahead. Taking the next step in the knowledge that we will learn something. It is not possible to make a mistake. We cling to the idea of making a mistake to maintain the delusion that we can know what cannot possibly be known, what hasn't happened yet. And next time we'll come to fear of fear. That was unexpected. But then I think most of my life's been unexpected. Namaste. We're now going to do that one next, and then our daily poem that we normally do in the morning, and then we're going to have another break before we read the Urban Shaman, and then the last poem. And then rest. Bye. Take care of yourself, everyone. Know that you're perfect wherever you are, in whatever moment, in whatever chaos. And just, keep riding the waves of the energy.